So normally on all of my meetings, this is how it goes. Everyone's happy, everyone's clapping, they're really pleased with what I've done, and I get a standing ovation, just like is happening now during the webinar, of course, if we were in person. But really what's happening behind the scenes, I think often, there's a lot of second guessing on the implementation. Hopefully you've got buy-in from everybody, but sometimes there could be, challenges to whoever's leading the implementation. There could be some turf battles between different departments in terms of ownership, what was decided earlier on. So certainly it's not all roses as is depicted here. Unless you're, super project management superhero. What does this mean when some of these challenges come up? Well, often with project management, it can mean delays. But, I think often people are knowing that, things are often a little bit over budget, possibly a little bit delayed. But I think a bigger risk is what I call kind of halfway implementations, where the implementation happens, but it doesn't really get enough buy-in from everyone, and you're not fully utilizing the new tool, if that's what it is, or you've had to maybe phase things in over time because of delays, and then you're able to utilize something but not to its fullest extent. And I think that's a real downside where you don't necessarily capture that, because it does get done, it just doesn't get done that well. There could be scapegoats involved. There can be an impact to morale as people see that and either agree with it or don't. One thing that I think is very relevant to our time right now, if you've been reading in the news at all, is what's going on with GM and their whole ignition switch debacle. If you haven't been following that too closely lately, there's a lot of conversation about how you promote and encourage bad news to flow up and down and across an organization. And often that bad news is going to come up during project management reviews and meetings. It could be schedule-wise, it could be budget-wise, but just like in GM's case, it could be quality-wise. And that really needs to get facilitated the right way for management to understand what's going on. So, again, in the chat, appreciate people putting chats in. Please continue to do that. Let me know if you've got a horror story. We won't have to share, confidential information, but I think it is helpful if we all kind of talk about, real-world examples that are happening today. So what happens? What's the result of all of this? Well, it could be finger-pointing, which helps nobody and nothing. It might be simply poor implementation where, again, it could be that halfway scenario that I briefly talked about, or it could be that the implementation really doesn't even happen at all. If you've read the book Get Into Great, a lot of people talk about just a good result versus a great result. There might be a lack of buy-in, and if you've got cross-functional teams, this is critical. It's critical not only for the current project that you're working on, but it can set a precedent whereby there could be just distrust within the organization, either as part of this that you're fighting from a historical perspective, or creating that on an ongoing path, which you don't want to do.